Hey everybody, welcome to another video by RedZone Gaming. I'm Justin, and today we're going to be going through my Henzie Toolbox Torre unsleeved deck. Now Henzie is a blitz commander, which means that you're going to want to try to blitz out creatures, attack with them, and then they die. The nice thing about blitz is that you get to draw a card when that creature dies, so even if it dies in combat or you sacrifice it throughout the turn, you're still going to get that draw effect, which is the nice thing about it. Now with Henzie, he also reduces the cost of your blitz creatures by 1 for each time that you've cast him. So if you cast him 2 or 3 times, you can actually start to get a lot of value. The other thing is that he gives creatures with mana value 4 or greater blitz. So that's what we're going to really be focusing on. So to start off, we're going to go through the mana package. This deck does have a bit more mana than usual. I include lands, ramp, effects that generate mana. I include all of those in it. It comes out to 51 sources. As far as fetches go, we have cards like Jund Panorama, Riveteer's Outlook, and Mountain Valley. Look at the scrub on that one, it's seen some play, so that's good. Then we've got our multicolored lands like Command Tower, Savage Lands, and then one of my favorites, Daragaz's Caldera. For duels in the Gruul category, we've got Karplusan Forest, Scarred, which is going to give one of our creatures +1/+1 and trample. It doesn't actually generate the mana, but I included in that pool. The Gruul Turf, which is another bounce land, Cinderglade, and Rockfall Vale. As far as the Rakdos ones, I've got Sulphurous Mire, Rakdos Carnarium, Dragon Skull Summit, Haunted Ridge, and a Blood Crypt. That's right, I'm playing Shocklands in this unsleeved deck. Then for the Golgari colors, I have the Swathghost, the Necroblossom Snarl, and Overgrown Tomb. Another Shockland. I have a Stomping Grounds, I just haven't put it in here yet. Then I have 2 cycling lands, the Forgotten Cave and Barren Moor. As far as Artifact Ramp, I have Sol Ring, Gruul Signet, Golgari Signet, and Arcane Signet, and then, and this is going to tip off my theme for my deck a little bit more, I have Orb of Dragonkind and Dragon's Horde. So, from that alone, you should now know this is a Dragon sub-theme Henzie deck. I also have some other mana dorks like Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, and then I just have some fun ramp that works really well with Blitz in Song of the Damned, which gives me 1 black for each creature in my graveyard, and Burnt Offering, where I can sacrifice a creature to add its mana value in any combination of red or black. So that's a really nice trick. I've got cards like Rampant Growth, Circular Tribe Elder, and Harrow. And then again, another Dragon Ramper, I have Sarkhan Fireblood. To round out the mana, I've got 7 forests, 3 swamps, and 5 mountains. Some other honorable mentions in terms of ramping. Obviously, Henzie reduces the cost of our creatures. I also have Nylea the Keen-Eyed in here. She reduces creature spells by 1. That will also still help affect the blitz cost. And then I also have Agnes, the Dragon's Lash, which whenever a creature with haste attacks, I get a tapped treasure token, so that can kind of generate some additional ramp. The nice thing with Blitz is that it gives creatures haste, so with Agnes out, that will trigger. As far as our drawing package goes, we have a nice mix of cards. We've got the standards like Rishkar's Expertise, Garruk's Uprising, and Garruk's Pack Leader. And then with obviously a sacrifice type deck, I also included Moldervine Reclamation, which lets me draw a card and gain a life whenever a creature I control dies. I've also included Fecundity in here. This is just a pet card of mine. I really like it. It affects everybody at the table, so other decks that are doing sack tricks will get to generate card value too, but I find that when this card's out, players will actually maybe be a little bit nicer to me because I'm giving them card draw. So it's a cool card, and the artwork on it is just really solid. Also have some tech cards like Riveteer's Charm, which can generate some card value. Dragonborn Champion, so whenever a source deals 5 or more damage, I get to draw a card. With this being a dragon sub-theme deck, I will be doing 5 or more damage quite often. I also included Dragon Mage, which can basically refuel the hand. I have cards like Zaitora's Envy or Envoy, which can generate card value off the top of the deck. Also has Blitz if I don't have Henzie out. And then I have this fun little guy, Tree Shaker Chimera, which is just absolutely awesome to blitz out because you can wipe a board with that card pretty easily. I have Magus of the Wheel. Another pet card of mine, Signal the Clans. Not really the best as far as like tutoring for a creature, but you can get 3 creatures and it keeps people on their toes. And then lastly, just with the sheer amount of dragons and large creatures I have in this deck, Mask of Grizzlebrand can generate me life and draw cards pretty easy. So that's a nice card to have. I like it a lot. Moving on to removal. Removal in this deck is a little bit weird. I use cards like Mayhem Devil, where whenever I sacrifice a permanent, he can deal a damage to any target. This is a great way to both finish off players and annoying creatures. Savra, also with me sacrificing creatures to the Blitz mechanic, if the creature is black, each other player has to sacrifice a creature if I pay 2 life, or whenever a green creature dies, I can gain 2 life. Since a lot of my creatures are going to be multiple colors, I'm going to get multiple triggers off that. I also have Indrik Stomphauler in here. Number 1, he's a big body, so I can blitz him out, so he can act as a very quick, easy, cheap removal spell, which I like. I also run Zaitora in here. During the end step, I can sacrifice another creature to deal damage to that creature's power to any target, and I get 3 treasures. So Zaitora can actually act as both ramp and removal at the same time. Very cool card. And again, I can blitz her out with Henzie. Also have the Wrathful Red Dragon. If I'm playing against another deck that has flyers, blocking my dragons is going to allow me to just start pinging things. Again, it's any target, so I can target both players and other creatures. Very fun card. And then lastly, I have Invictus Asmati. This one kind of counts as removal because I can get rid of an annoying permanent, but they're also going to have the option to get another permanent into play. But still, it's kind of fun. As far as board wipes go, I don't really have a lot. I often use Orcus, the Prince of Undeath, as a board wipe. I can blitz him out and make other creatures get -X/-X. The downside to this is that I also lose X life, so that's kind of a risky play. Also, he can be used late game to bring back a lot of creatures from my graveyard to the battlefield. They will gain haste until the end of the turn, so I can use this kind of as a finisher as well to just bring back a whole bunch of hasty boys and swing in for the win. I have Structural Assault to destroy all artifacts. This is a very handy card, especially in today's meta. I deal damage to each creature equal to the number of artifacts that were put into the graveyard this way, so it's a really nice board wipe. I usually will play this before I start blitzing out creatures, but it depends on the situation. And then lastly, I have Gaze of Granite as my final board wipe. Since I'm going to be putting a lot of cards into the graveyard, one of the things that I wanted to make sure I had a lot of was ways to bring things back. So I have cards like Riveteer's Ascendancy, which whenever I sacrifice a creature, I can return another creature card with lesser mana value from my graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I only get to do this once each turn, but if you do things right in a tempo fashion, you can actually get back a lot of stuff pretty quickly. I also have Haunted Crossroads, which just for 1 black mana can put a creature from my graveyard back on top of my library. This is a nice way to get creatures out of my graveyard in the event that somebody tries to exile it, so I usually try to keep a little bit of black mana open. I also have Next of Kin, which just generates consistent value in a blitz deck. Because the creature is going to get sacrificed, with Next of Kin you'll be able to put either your commander or creatures from your hand that have lower mana value onto the battlefield, and this gets attached to it. I also have Scourge of Neltoth as a creature that I can constantly keep getting back. It does have a high enough mana value that I'll be able to blitz it in. It's a nice recurring threat. I also have Gaia's Blessing in here. Gaia's Blessing lets me shuffle up to 3 cards from my graveyard into my library, and then I draw a card, or if it happens to get milled, I get to shuffle my entire library and my graveyard back together. So this is also really nice mill tech, with a lot of decks starting to do just incidental mill in various ways. This is a nice way to do that. Lastly, I have Underworld Cerberus in here. This card is awesome. When it dies, you exile it and then return all creature cards from your graveyard back to your hand. So this is a nice way late game to blitz it in. You know it's going to die, and you'll get back pretty much all the creatures in your graveyard. Now, since sometimes I'm not going to be blitzing creatures out, I wanted to have a few haste enablers as well. I have cards like Ogre Battle Driver and Anger in here to give me haste. Ogre Battle Driver does it while it's on the battlefield, Anger does it while it's in the graveyard. This card is just a real powerhouse. A lot of people don't see it coming, and oftentimes by the time I play it, it's too late. I also have some other pet cards that I really like. Delina Wild Mage is probably my favorite red card of all time. With her, you can create copies of additional creatures. They get to attack. They do get exiled at the end of combat, but if you can find a way to sacrifice them instead, you can often get a lot of those dies triggers. I also have Jaxis the Troublemaker, which also creates a token of a creature, and it gives it the Blitz text on it so that when that creature dies, you get to draw a card. It's a very cool ability. It's actually the only foil I have in my deck, besides Henzie. I have Fake Your Own Death as a card that gives me a little extra protection. It's a nice way to generate some value. It's unexpected. I like it. Going with Blitz, Forge Boss just generates a lot of value. Same thing with Golgari Germination, where I can get a 1/1 Sapperling every single time a creature I control dies. This is a really nice way to just, again, keep that board kind of full. I have Fight Rigging in here just because I love this card. It has Hideaway, so I'm going to be able to get a card under it. And at the beginning of combat, it puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature I control. Then, if I have a creature with power 7 or greater, I can play the exiled card. So, no matter what, it's always going to generate additional value, so even after the Hideaway's been used, it's still going to give those +1/+1 counters. It's just nice. Now moving on, I just have some big bodies that I like to show off here. These are going to be some of the creatures that we blitz in. I've got things like Workshop Warchief, Ochre Jelly, which actually is a finisher. I've probably won more games with this card than any other card in my deck. I also have Rampant Rejuvenator, which again can generate additional ramp, but I mainly use it as a body. Mr. Orfeo the Boulder, whenever he attacks, he doubles target creature's power until the end of turn. If you have Mask of Grizzlebrand out and this, you can start drawing some insane amounts of cards. Then I have my Dragon package. I have Lathlis, the Dragon Queen, so whenever another dragon enters the battlefield, I get another 5/5 dragon token. Super sweet. Utvara Hellkite, whenever a dragon I control attacks, I get a 6/6 dragon token. So again, I'm generating that additional value even after I'm blitzing things in. That way I don't just have an empty board. I have Thrakkus the Butcher. Whenever he attacks, I double the power of each dragon I control until the end of turn. Again, with him out, pretty easy to close a game. Broodmate Dragon, when it enters the battlefield, I get a 4/4 dragon token. So again, getting some additional value. Immerstorm Predator, which is just a nice way to sacrifice other creatures. So again, if I'm making token copies of things with Delina or Jax, I can sacrifice them to the Immerstorm Predator. Same thing with Prosh. I have him in here to mainly be one of my sack outlets, and he's an awesome dragon. And then finally, I have Wasatora, the Nekoro Queen. She is another way to, if she hits, so I didn't count her as removal, but if she hits, the damage player has to sacrifice a creature. If they can't, I get a 3/3 black-red Dragon Cat. So again, can generate some additional value. It also can act as a minor removal, and that's the deck. So all in all, this deck is a lot of fun to play. I really have a good time with it. It's unsleeved, so it kind of makes people cringe. It's not as expensive as some of my other unsleeved decks, but it's a good time. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe to check out my other videos. I'm doing shorts all the time of just some entertaining things, dealing with Magic, trolling you occasionally, good stuff like that. So thank you all so much for watching my Henzie Toolbox Toray deck tech. Just thought I'd share that with you.